Welcome to the humidity and the hydrologic cycle lab prep video. In this lab, you're going to be measuring the relative humidity and dew point using two different methods, and you're going to be doing it inside and also outside at your weather station. So for this portion of lab, you're going to be using what's called a sling psychrometer to measure the relative humidity and dew point. There's two different kinds I have here. One has a string attached to it. That's what you'll hold on to when you're spinning it over your head. Make sure you hold on tight. This can slide off your finger pretty easily. There's two different thermometers. One has a little bit of cotton on the very bottom of it. You can see here. And that's going to be your wet bulb. That's what you're actually going to get wet. You can see the two of them on the top here. They're labeled wet and dry. And this version here, we've got this part that slides out, and then you're going to be spinning it like so. So inside what we've got those two thermometers again. I can flip it over so you can see the two different thermometers. One, you can see the little red bottom of it. The other one, you've got that bit of cotton covering the bottom. So we're going to get that bit of cotton wet with a little bit of water so we can have our wet bulb. So you might have to soak it for a little bit to really get it wet. And then you're going to take your setup and you're going to spin it over your head. So make sure there's no objects near you. Make sure you're not going to hit yourself in the face with it, because these are glass. They will break and it will hurt. So you're going to raise it over your head, and then you're going to spin it. You're going to spin it for a significant amount of time. Your lab manual tells you exactly how much to do it for. And you're going to do this for each individual group member. So each time make sure you're wetting that wet bulb and spinning it over your head. And then once you're done, you're going to read the difference in temperatures off the thermometers, the wet versus the dry, and then record those numbers on your lab manual. And don't forget, you're going to do this both inside and outside at your weather station. So for this portion of your lab, you're going to be using a different method to figure out the relative humidity and dew point for a room. What you're going to have is a metal beaker filled with some cold water, a thermometer, and make sure that is in Celsius, and then another beaker that has some ice in it. So what you're going to do is put one piece of ice at a time into your metal cup, and then let it slowly melt. And you might want to be doing something else while you're letting this ice cube melt in your beaker. So once you've let these ice cubes melted over time, you want to be looking at the outside of your metal cup to make sure that you don't see any condensation yet. Because once you see condensation on the outside of this metal cup, you're going to want to read that temperature, because that is the dew point temperature of the room that you are in. So it's a little time consuming, so make sure that you've got some other things to do while this is going on. Now you're going to do this inside, and then you're also going to go out to your weather station and do the same. So make sure you have enough ice when you head outside. And then the third part, you're going to go to your daily weather report, to your weather station outside, and you're going to measure the dew point, the temperature, and the relative humidity. So a note to yourself to think about when you're completing that first portion of the lab, measuring the humidity and dew point using the sling psychrometer. Make sure you go to your weather station to take those measurements so that you don't have to do it again. So you're going to make your measurements and your observations of the weather, record everything on your lab sheet, and don't forget to record the forecast data. You're going to do that every week. So if you have questions, please let me know. Use your experiments to answer any of the follow-up questions, and then make sure you email me with any questions or concerns.